It's December. It's almost Christmas. COVID is still a thing, even though it's almost 2022. And how the heck did we get to 2022? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete, and in this video, we're going to run down my 5 pieces of favorite tech from this year, because whilst we have been stuck inside for, well, most of this year, and chip shortages are still a thing, unfortunately, there has also been some incredible tech released this year. Without further ado, let's dive into my first favorite piece of tech from this year. And if you like anything I mention, I'll throw some links down below just in case you're one of those like last minute shoppers needing some inspiration. First up, let's talk Apple. And actually, my favorite piece of tech this year isn't anything to do with the iPhone or the iPad or the watch. It's actually their new M1, M1X, and M1 Pro ranges of computers. To this day, I am still amazed that I can now buy a MacBook Air, which traditionally has always been massively underpowered, just so that they can say it's the smallest and lightest laptop available. But this year, the game totally changed with the new M1 chips. I legitimately traded up from my £3,500 16-inch MacBook Pro, which was one of the highest spec MacBook Pros you could buy last year, and replaced it with a MacBook Air, which costs around a third of the MacBook Pro. The battery lasts forever, it is so light, it's easy to carry around with me, and the bag I used to carry around all my IT bits when I ran my business is basically just empty. If you're still using a Mac that doesn't have the new M1 chip, honestly, upgrade. The performance is mind-blowing, particularly when you factor in that none of these chips consume anywhere near as much power as the Intel or AMD equivalents. That goes to the newer M1X and M1 Pro chips too. And in fact, Intel responded with new chips boasting better performance, but forgot to mention that they use way more power to do so. And when you're working off battery, that is a huge difference. And the only reason that I haven't upgraded to the M1X or M1 Pro chips is that my M1 Mac Mini and M1 MacBook Air, they are so good at what they already do that I don't actually have a need to actually upgrade. Next up on my best tech for 2021 is the Google Pixel 6 Pro. And now, after playing around with Android this past year with so many different phones, the Pixel 4a, the 5, Galaxy Fold 2, the Flip 2, OnePlus 9 Pro, the S21, Poco F3, just so many phones. But the Pixel stands out to me as an iPhone user because it's one that's been entirely made by Google, the hardware, the software. Now, yes, of course, the components inside might not be Google, but that's no difference to, say, Samsung or LG making the screen for the new iPhone 13. Yes, it has its quirks, which are mostly due to it being Android 12, which is a brand new OS. It's a little bit buggy, but I just love some of the features on this that you just can't get in iOS. The biggest feature by far is the voice dictation. You can legitimately use your voice to dictate messages, and they're translated accurately with proper punctuation, emojis, and you can send them quickly with no delay. Compare that to iPhone and it gets it wrong like 90% of the time, and there's then a delay where you have to wait for it to respond back with what it thinks you've written, and then the "would you like to send it?" No, I wouldn't like to send it. I have switched back to my iPhone just for a couple of weeks. I'm waiting on a new case, the later case for the Pixel, and I've also picked up the new Galaxy Watch 4 on Black Friday, along with a nice 20% discount, so thanks to my Vitality health insurance for that. So I'll be able to swap back over and use the full kind of ecosystem, so to speak, the whole watch and the phone together. Once again, I'm really excited for that. Now, I have the Pixel 6 Pro, but the Pixel 6 at $599 is a stunning phone. If you're in the market for a new phone and you haven't got the money for, say, a flagship, well, that's kind of a flagship right there for half the price that all others are going for. Others that I've also been really enjoying this year, the Galaxy Flip and the Galaxy Fold 2s, they were really interesting devices. They honestly, after just some time of using both of them, they just felt a little bit gimmicky to me. I saw a video from Linus Tech Tips recently, who still has the Fold 2 as his main phone, and he says he uses the front screen around 90% of the time, and the front screen is tiny. It's not great for one-handed use. Now, the Flip was also really good and interesting, and it's very satisfying to flip open and close, but beyond me, I just found that it's just not for me. That's not to say they're bad phones, they're just not a good fit for me. Now, the OnePlus 9 Pro, also really interesting, mainly around its super fast charging, because of that pretty much wipes away any form of anxiety around how long the battery will last, considering how quickly you can charge it. But yeah, for me, the Pixel 6 Pro is the runaway winner in terms of the best phone of the year. And that's coming from me, who has and still continues to use Apple products every single year. Because, well, the thing that me and many other Apple users are starting to see now is just this lacks innovation. Nothing really new is coming through. It's the same phone, slightly faster, slightly better, but nothing revolutionary. Whereas you have all these Android devices coming out with some really wacky features lately. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to explore those features next year. Now, one piece of tech that I've not really mentioned in any of my videos, and I don't pay anywhere near as much attention to it as I should because it is so much fun to play with, is my home automation system. This year, I actually switched away from what I've been using for a very long time, Indigo, which was this kind of Mac-only home automation system. It was an app that you ran, and it could basically talk to all of the smart devices in my house. But as time went on, it didn't get updated that often, it wouldn't support newer devices, and I even inquired about investing in the product at one stage because it was so good and had so much potential. If we hired some, full-time developers, then I think it could have really been something. But I ended up switching to Home Assistant, probably the biggest, most widely used free home automation platform there is. You can literally run it on anything, Raspberry Pi, Linux, and I've actually got mine running on my QNAP NAS drive right behind me here, but it is so good using Home Assistant. It literally talks to everything it can, my lights, the heating, security, CCTV, location. It has integrations with Google Assistant, Alexa, and Apple HomeKit, so I can literally control my whole house with voice, particularly when I'm switching phones. So often it's nice that I don't need to worry about which, if I'm on Siri today or then Google tomorrow. The only thing I don't like is that some things can be a little overly complicated compared to the other system that I've used to use. Sometimes you do have to figure out some coding, but for any techies watching this channel, just give it a try. For me, I just have it doing some basic things for me, and whenever I have a bit of spare time, I'll log in, play around, and set up some random automations just to make our lives a bit easier. But it's so fun and kind of addictive. I just wish I had more time to play with it. Maybe let me know down in the comments below if you want to know more about this kind of home automation setup. It's not really something I've ever really thought about making a video about, but yeah, if there's interest, then I will. So yeah, next on my list has been something that saved my sanity this year and throughout this seemingly never-ending COVID thing, and that is my gaming setup. I play this literally every single night. Now, I've been fortunate enough this year to pick up both the Xbox Series X and the PS5. Now, my kids play on the PS5, and I love the PS5 too, but for me, it is the Xbox Series X, and mainly I think that comes down to the controller for me. On the Series X, you can pick up the Elite controller, which gives you 4 extra buttons underneath the controller, and using those 4 buttons means that your thumb, which is normally jumping back and forth between the right stick and the 4 buttons, well, it never has to leave the stick because you can use the 4 buttons underneath instead. It's amazing for games like Call of Duty when you want to just ping something whilst you're still aiming around, and since that's been what we've been playing for the last year, it's become second nature to me. Whereas the PS5 controller I think is more technologically advanced, the Xbox to me it just feels more natural and more comfortable to me. Also, the SteelSeries 9X, hands down the best headset that I've used of all time. Crystal clear audio. I'm told the mic sounds really clear, especially when I switch between other headsets like the official Xbox headset or the official PS5 headset. I just only wish they had a USB-C connection on it, because that is literally the only negative I can see on this. And pretty much all of my devices now are on USB-C except for the iPhone. And then the last part of my gaming setup is the 48-inch LG C1 TV, which is crystal clear, bright, colourful beast, and it runs at 120 Hz. And I can't really get this across well on YouTube, but the image quality on this screen is incredible. It makes low definition stuff look really great, and high definition it's just wow. Watch something in 4K HDR and it blows everything else out of the water. So all in all, the Xbox or PS5, depending on your flavour, the Elite controller, the SteelSeries headset, and the LG C1 TV have made for such a fun gaming experience this year. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like next year. And speaking of screens, the other bit of favourite tech to give it a quick mention is this Samsung G9 Neo, an absolute behemoth of a 49-inch ultra-wide 1000R curved screen with Quantum Mini LED. Yes, it is expensive at the best part of 2K or 2.5K depending on which country you're in, but these did come up on Black Friday discount already, so that means you might be able to snag one of these at a pretty good discount if you keep your eyes peeled. But ever since switching from my dual screens to a 38-inch ultra-wide to a 49-inch Dell screen, then to the original G9, and now this G9 Neo, things are only getting better each time. It is such a fantastic piece of kit, and to anyone who is still using multiple monitors, you get to reclaim that lost piece of space that you get just by having the screens join in the middle. I know it's a very niche product, I know, but if you are looking to buy multiple high quality 4K screens, then definitely consider something like this as well. Rather than spending the same amount of money on multiple screens, then you can just get one screen instead. And given that it runs up to 240 Hz, well, it's not going to be a bottleneck for anything anytime soon. Now, in the meantime, you can spend the rest of your money upgrading your PC instead. So there is my best tech for 2021. I'd love to know what your best and favorite tech is from this year down below in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you want some more tech content. I have a ton of content planned for next year. Otherwise, go and watch my Pixel 6 review here, the Apple M1 review here, or one of the other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.